Do we have all our board members here?
Denisa just logged in.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for joining us for a special board meeting of the Romulus Community Schools on April 6, 2020. It is 6 p.m. We're going to call this meeting to order. Ms. Wester, can we please do a roll call?
Piles,
Here.
Thunderbird,
Here.
Beard,
Here.
Terrell,
Unmute yourself.
Kennard,
I apologize. This is Terrell. I'm here.
thank you. Kennard, Wester, present. Martell,
Present. We do have a quorum. At this time, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point in time, we're going to move to item 4, which is the public comment agenda items only. I have not received any requests for public comment according to the agenda items only. If there are any other board members or any indication on the YouTube or any of the other streaming services which indicate that there is a public comment, can somebody please indicate that now? Okay, so we are going to move forward to number 5, which we have a few action items, but I just want the public to know that they can still comment at the end of the meeting where there's communications from the public. So at this point in time, we're going to turn the floor over to Ms. Crockett, Nicole Crockett, our interim superintendent, for action item A, our human resources director.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
good evening.
All right. With respect to the HR director, I believe that you need for me to, well, I can't make any motion. I am just presenting the contract for Elena Bond, who was selected by the interview team as HR director. Are there any questions or any comments from the board?
Well, I'm going to let me get this topic sheet together. If you just give me a moment.
I got it.
For the purposes of discussion, is there a motion and/or support regarding this HR director
Mr.
contract?
President, this is Ms. Wester. I move that the Board of Education accept the employment of Elena Bond, Director of Human Resources for Romulus Community Schools, effective April 7th, 2020.
Second, Kyle. Sorry.
No problem.
Moved by Ms. Wester, supported by Ms. Piles. Discussion, please.
Ms. Crockett, could you tell us a little bit about the candidate who was selected, please?
Yes. So we had on, I'm trying to think what month this is, on March 13th, we had that, which is a Friday, we had the first interview, and then there was a follow-up interview on Wednesday, the 18th. So on that first Friday, there were 3 candidates. 2 candidates did not have K-12 experience. One of them did. The 2 candidates who moved on from the initial interview, one had K-12 experience, the other one did not. And so through a series of questions and receiving, there were actually a couple things I want to mention. There was a written portion of the interview. There was the regular interview, you know, the questions, the round robin questions, and then there was a presentation that needed to be done that the candidates were sent ahead of time, and the presentation was around a real life type issue that may present itself with this position, and the candidates had to come up with their best answer. So between the two of them, the two that were left, Elena Bond presented a well-researched and a well thought out presentation with respect to different options that we may not have considered otherwise when it comes to the question was around stipends, was around teacher stipends. And so the answer that she presented was around creating systems that would properly and in a fair manner reward and incentivize some of the things that we're currently giving stipends for. So it's definitely something for us to consider and for her to work through with all of our associations, those thought processes. So at the end of the day, with that, the person who rose to the top when it comes to scoring and points in both number one, round one and round two was Elena Bond.
Ms. Crockett,
And yes, please.
who were the stakeholders that were involved in the interview committee? You know, I don't need to know the names of the people, just, you know, which positions.
So we had represented Local 64, Para Union, REA, RAZA, School Board, and Central Office.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of people.
And not everyone came to both. We intentionally kind of split it up so that some people were at the first round and some people were at the second round.
Okay. Ms. Crockett, does she have K-12 experience?
She does not have K-12 experience, and that was known coming in to the interview process. The reason why she was selected of I want to say we had 49 people to apply for that position. Some of the people were not qualified at all. When it came to people who actually had HR experience, I want to say there were maybe 3. And when it came to people who had K-12 HR experience, of that 49-ish, there were maybe 2.
Wow.
So with that, we started the interview process with the strongest candidates that we had available.
And I guess my concern is just that the not having the K-12. Do you feel confident that she will get what she needs in order to be able to function in the capacity? I guess, you know, I don't want to set people up for failure, but I think that she almost needs to be like in a fast track. So what types of things are we putting in place to make sure that she gets what she needs so she can get up to speed?
Yes, and that was a concern initially for all, just not having met her yet and not having interviewed her yet. You know, that was a concern going in. And again, you know that with all of the stakeholders present, again, she was the one who was lifted. And so with that, I did consult with Wayne Risa and with the director at Wayne Risa, Director of Human Resources, to lift that concern and to say, you know, what do we do about it? And because of our belief that that Ms. Bond has high will and high skill. When I say high skill, she's very well versed in in human resources to begin with, and High Will, based on some of her responses, she impressed upon us, on all of us, that she wants to be in the field of education and that she is looking forward to this opportunity. So what I was told at Wayne RISA was that this is not the first or the second or the third or the eighth time that we have brought in HR people, and that this is what we do. They support. She's already given me a list of associations that she would like for her to be involved in. She's already, when I say she, Tracy Wright from Wayne RISA has already provided me with the opportunity to get her involved in the Wayne RISA Human Resources Director meetings. And she's also already provided the opportunity for her to be supported right away to whatever extent we, provide her the time to get that learning that she needs.
Okay.
Any additional discussion?
I did just have one question, and so on the contract, we have April 7th, 2020 to June 30th, 2020.
Mhm.
I know in section 5 of the contract, it talks about non-renewal of contract. Was there a reason why we took it to June 30th, 2020 and not just take it to 2021? Considering she's starting she's a late start to begin with.
That actually should be 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, let's fix it.
Okay.
And we have some, we have to amend it based on legal. So, I mean, just some language. And that is one thing that needs to be changed. So thank you.
So then in the non-renewal side, then should that date change also? At least 30 days prior to June 30th, 2021?
Yes.
And that should actually be 90 days. By state law, it has to be 90 days.
I'll fix that. Okay.
So do we have to represent this back to her saying that she signed it prior to with these revisions?
Yes.
Okay, so when, if it's approved tonight and we get that, can we get a final draft copy of this contract so that we can have noted that all of the signatures are done and that kind of thing? And then just making sure that is archived in a spot that we'll be able to find it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Both paper and digital.
Yeah.
So just real quick on the recommended legal, or just real quick on the legal recommendations as it pertains to this contract. Number in paragraph 5, of course, in accordance with MCLA 380.1229, it's 90 days of notice of consideration of non-renewal and 60 days notice of non-renewal. However, putting it is 30 days really doesn't hurt us. But realistically, we know that, we're going through it now, that it has to be 90 days for consideration and 60 days for notice. So that language needs to be exact. I don't know what does the board think as far as changing it from 30 days or in accordance with the statute or just leaving it alone. But we know when I don't know what you guys think.
I think because legal said that having 30 days in there is likely not enforceable. We should remove that and put what is enforceable, because going forward, we want to have clearly established processes and contracts of the way we do things in this district. So it doesn't matter who sits in our seat or in different positions at central office. Since it's not enforceable, I would prefer we just strike it and put what is enforceable, the 90 days and 60 days.
Well,
Right.
so,
Go ahead.
and I almost feel like it should be less than 90 days because that then will trigger that if there's anything that we should be looking at, so let's just say hypothetically, if it was consideration or versus actual, dismissing a person, at least it gives you 30-day cushion to be looking at that. So I kind of feel like the 90 days is a good practice.
Well, it's 90 days for the consideration of non-renewal and 60 days for non-renewal.
Right.
I'm gonna send
buffer.
Right.
I'm gonna send out an email with the recommended edits just for the board's clarity, as well as from Ms. Crockett to have, so we'll have exact language.
Yes, and then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other noted change was in paragraph 6, that one of the reasons for cause, or several of the reasons, would be additional reasons, rather, violations of board policies, bylaws, rules, and/or regulations.
Yeah, and then it's fine.
So that's an addition?
That was a recommended addition to the other reason.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it would just be added as one of the reasons for cause, a violation of any board policies, bylaws, rules, and/or regulations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then that was the only substantive changes. She did have a couple other comments, which you'll see in the email, but that was the only substantive changes. Other than that, is the board prepared to approve this on today, contingent on the changes?
I am.
Is there anybody opposed?
No.
Okay. So at this point in time, it was moved by Ms. Wester, supported by Ms. Piles. There's no additional questions. Are there any additional questions or discussion?
I just have one additional comment or question, I guess it might be.
Please.
This is the standard wording in most of our directors' contracts. Will we be updating the other contracts also?
And that question was posed to our attorney, and I believe her answer was, as they come up, or as we go into new contracts, we should exercise the new standard language. But I will, although we have, you can address each central office contract going forward as they come up for renewal. That was her exact language.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And you'll see that in the email as well.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments or discussion?
No, sir.
At this point in time, Ms. Wester, can we have a roll call, please?
Thunderbird,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Wester, yes. Martell,
Yes.
thank you.
The motion is
Yes,
approved.
Kennard. Excuse me, Kennard is here.
Oh, we didn't know you had
Hey,
arrived.
Ms. Kennard.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
So, Kennard,
Yes.
Excellent. Motion is approved unanimously. We'd like to welcome Ms. Bond to the family, and we look forward to meeting her in person when that is allowed.
All right.
We now are going to move forward to our next action item, which is our annual raise for Director of Business Operations, Ms. Angela Rudolph. Is there a motion on the floor, please?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I've lost my topic sheet.
I have mine. Be it resolved that the board approve an annual raise for Director of Business and Operations to be effective January 15th, 2020 as presented. Rationale as discussed at a June 28th, 2019 special board meeting.
Second.
Who's that,
Moved by Ms.
Piles. Sorry.
It's moved by Ms. Funderburg, excuse me, supported by Ms. Stiles. Discussion, please.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
and I just for point of clarity, are we only moving on her raise as it relates to what she was previously promised? That is the only thing that we're voting on tonight, correct?
Yes, to my understanding, this is different from her contractual raise, which will be in July.
Okay, thank you.
This is the one that was originally brought to us some time ago. And because she didn't have her 1 year in, it was postponed, to my understanding.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any additional?
So so just for clarity, this is the 4.5% for January 15th, 2020, and then 1% July 1, 2020.
Correct.
Yes, to my understanding.
Can you repeat that, Ms. Funderburg?
4.5% January 15th, 2020, which is her anniversary date.
Okay.
And then 1% July 1, 2020.
Now, isn't that July 1, wouldn't that apply when we renew the contract?
That's what it would appear to me.
So I was
The
looking.
1%.
Go ahead.
Well, the 1%, yeah. So we historically, the practice has been central office gets their raises at the same time. And that's the way we've always operated. Our board, for some reason last summer, changed that. So that's why we're having this twofold split, a 4.5% and a 1%. But to be consistent with what the board voted on last summer, as central office employees came on their 1 year anniversary, they were eligible for their 4.5% or 5.5%. Ms. Rudolph is the only one who didn't have her year in. Well, there was Ms. Flores did not. So I think at her 1 year, was there her separate contract raise, or was it all the 5%? Because whatever precedent we established, we need to make sure that we carry that out consistently and don't do anything differently or discriminatory against any one employee.
So I went to look at the, so here we go. In our May packet, when this was first presented, so our curriculum and grants and our special education, they got prorated 111 days for the 4.5, and then they got an additional 1% in the new school year.
Mm-hmm.
So Danielle, when you said the new school year, that was for 1920, correct?
1920, right. So they got 4.5% in 1920, but that, here go. Remember, we didn't see this until May of 1920. So that went back to either, I'm not sure if it would have gone back to January, I guess whatever 111 days is. I would think that would probably be.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the upcoming school year, they got an additional. So technically speaking, it was 5.5% altogether.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, is there any additional discussion?
No, not for me.
Anybody else?
I think I have one other question. I'm sorry.
Please.
Does this supersede part 3 of the compensation piece on that contract, on her original contract?
Will you read that, please, Danielle?
I'm sorry. Read section 3.
But the part specifically that you're referring to, just because we have people listening.
So the original, it says that effective on, well, that would have been her start date. It has her salary, and then it has effective July 1, 2020, it takes up to a step 2.
Yeah, I don't think
So I kind
that
of feel like this, what we're talking about, would supersede
It sounds like it supersedes that.
the section 3.
That's my understanding too.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page before we vote.
no, I want to make sure as well. However, to my understanding, this was completely separate from the July raise, which is what you're talking about in number 3,
Right.
correct? I
That
didn't
was-
think that-
That
didn't
was
think
my
the two-
understanding too, Mr. Martell, because when the central employees hired in, this contract was set, but in addition to that, central office employees have annual raises all at the same time. So it's my understanding this is different. This isn't superseding, because there's the annual raise that central employees get that follow the contract settlements, but then there are the steps in their contract based on their longevity.
Right?
Some of you have been here a lot longer than me. I don't want to do anything different than we've done in the past as it relates to the raises or steps. So, I would like to stay, in as our usual practice with this. I do know that this particular time when the interim superintendent brought it to us, we set a few of the proposed raises aside based on they had less than a year.
Mhm.
So that's where we're at now. So I don't want to do anything different than we've done in the past, but I don't know what we've done in the past. So, if you can
Right.
provide some light on that, that would be great.
So let me look at this. So, okay. So I'm thinking back to that meeting. And after this, we'll have to go back and meet as a board and perhaps have a discussion about going back and just doing all raises together as they follow contracts, so that we don't find ourselves in this situation. But yes, it would be superseding, because her contract was set, but when she hired in, a previous superintendent had informed her that when central office gets raises, that it would go up. So our board changed that last summer. So this would be superseding.
Okay.
Sorry, you said,
And
go
we
ahead,
have
please.
a spreadsheet here too to refer to.
Well, I do know that the curriculum director did not have steps in her contract, if I'm not mistaken. But she had been here a lot longer, so I think this was a new thing that we were doing. One, to get talent,
Okay.
because we knew that we were, yeah, right.
So if the board determines that supersedes it, essentially, then what we would be doing right now is, pretty much moving forward her raise on July 1st. We would be doing it effective today. Well, actually effective going back January, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And so it would really, if that's what it would essentially mean if we determine that it supersedes that instead of in addition to. I mean,
Correct.
which either one would be, highly favorable. But so if we determine that, then we go back to January when the 1 year hit, and it would that would be the step 2, effective January, whatever the date is, correct?
I'm sorry, I was,
It goes back to January 1, yes, because
January
that's when-
1? I thought the
I mean,
date.
I'm sorry, January 15th, I'm sorry, her 1 year, January 15th. That's when we should have brought this up. So when we approve it, it will be retro to her 1 year anniversary date.
Was that, I'm just trying to figure out, was that the intent?
Yes.
And normally, this is Judy. Normally, when I remember the conversations that I had with the previous acting superintendent, that it would be retroactive to her hire date, which was January the 15th.
Okay.
And normally those are best practices with any situation given, and anything that I've had to do in my career in 33 years of, budgeting and salaries. Normally it goes back to it's retroactive back to the employer's date of hire.
Okay. I'm not opposed. Can we please? Are we all on board as far as the language right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
If there's, can we please read the motion specifically so that there's an understanding within that, that it would supersede Section 3 of our contract, but be retroactive to January 15th. Okay. Supersede step 3 or number 3 of her contract, which provides for annual compensation for step 2 for $97,000. However, will be retro. I don't know. But we go. Will be retroactive to January 15th. At least, if not the numbers, at least read the dates, etc. and the steps.
So we're approving her raise effective on her 1 year anniversary, January 15th, and this will supersede the contract raise in July.
It supersede number 3, which was an annual step.
okay, I can reread it. So be it resolved that the board approves an annual raise for Director of Business and Operations to be effective January 15th, 2020 for the 4.5% and 1% beginning July 1, 2020.
And I second.
Wait, now I'm confused. So the retroactive is going to be,
It goes back to January 15th,
January 15th.
2020.
but then July 1st, you're saying she gets
It's
another
yep.
1%.
Yep.
Because that's what we did with the other directors. It was
Okay,
4%.
I just
and
want
then
to remain consistent.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you read that again, Ms. Piles?
Oh, that's Ms.
I'm sorry, Ms. Funderburg. I'm sorry.
Now, hold on. Before is this a superseding motion or just the same motion reworded?
Same.
The same motion reworded.
Okay.
Go ahead. Thank you.
So it reads all the way up to January 15th, 2020.
Right. For the 4.5%.
For the 4.5% and 1% starting July 1, 2020, which is the new school year. The 2021 school year.
Okay.
And it supersedes the number 3 on her contract.
Yes.
Okay, that is moved by Ms. Funderburg, supported by
Piles.
Ms. Piles. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Funderburg,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Wester, yes. Martell?
Yes. The
Yes,
action
unanimously.
passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Rudolph. We're now going to move to the next item, which is it's item C, which is the salary adjustment for our interim superintendent, Nicole Crockett. Can we have a motion on the floor, please?
Mr. President, be it resolved that the board approve the pay adjustment for 83 working days for interim superintendent as presented. The rationale is compensation for interim superintendent duties.
Second by Kennard.
Who's that?
Second by Kennard.
Moved by Ms. Wester, support by Ms. Kennard. Discussion, please.
I just want to add, this is standard. Anytime somebody moves from one position at one pay rate to another, we do this adjustment, the daily rate. Ms. Crockett, I want to thank you for stepping in and giving us time to handle the other things before addressing this, and so our stakeholders know it is retroactive to your first day. But yeah, this is standard. Thank you for stepping in, and thank you for just giving us this time to handle our student stuff and then make this right by you.
Any additional?
Nope.
Okay, is there any, so there were some legal edits
Yes.
in regards to this as well?
Yes.
Because we don't have that contract.
Her contract, Ms. Crockett's Raza contract was included in the packet, correct?
No.
No.
The administrator contract was, yes.
The administrator contract, okay. So, what, okay. Do
So
we-
you were on the Google Drive, Teresa?
Yeah, that's where I got the information about the Google Drive.
Okay. 'Cause I didn't have it, like it wasn't emailed.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
I didn't get it either.
The interim superintendent contract?
No.
No.
It was
Not emailed.
okay.
Okay, so I received one from Linda today, and I forwarded back with the corrections, and what that was not. Mary, do you have that one, the interim superintendent contract?
Yes, we never.
Yes, I do.
We never
I
got
have
any
the-
of that in our packet.
No, that was only sent to, because this was not going to be discussed during this whole time frame. This was just being, we were just discussing the salary adjustment. The actual contract is, Linda sent just to Ed and to Debbie and to Nicole to look over the wording because she had
Okay.
used a previous contract.
Okay.
Okay, so let me get this straight today. We're not discussing the interim superintendent contract. We're just discussing salary adjustment.
Correct. It's only the salary adjustment, not the actual contract. Linda was just being proactive, sending the information out because she felt that we need to get the contract set up as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
And
Okay, thank you. So we'll
So-
approve the salary adjustment.
so in further discussion of approving the salary adjustment, can somebody from finance or somebody that's privy, please provide the board and the public with what will that consist of?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Somebody that is privy to how that is calculated, et cetera, or what that will look like. Can you please just advise the board and the public? I'm assuming it'll be the difference between her contract and the previous interim superintendent's contract, but just for public clarification.
That is
The adjust-
correct. So usually how it is done is by daily rate. So for
3 days.
83 days, she would get the daily rate of what the superintendent contract is, which is basically the salary of 135 over the number of working days, which is 260. So she will get her regular contract, and then that differential, she will get that for 83 days.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rudolph.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So, at this point, is there any further discussion before we vote?
Nope.
No.
If there is none, can we please do a roll call, please? Ms. Wester?
Beard,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Piles,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes.
Wonderberg,
Yes.
Wester is yes, Martell,
Yes.
passed unanimously.
So that salary adjustment passes unanimously. At this point, and thank you again, Ms. Crockett, for stepping up during this time. At this point, I'm going to turn the floor over back to Ms. Crockett. I know that she has been working collaboratively with our various stakeholders, and just to provide a brief update on where we are at with that and what the state is mandating. And so please, Ms. Crockett, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
hear me? I'm getting a lag on my computer.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. I'm getting a lag on my. Okay. So per the executive order that came out last week, we will no longer, well, for the rest of this, for the remainder of this school year, per Governor Whitmer, we will not be meeting face to face in school. However, school will continue using a distance learning platform. We are required as a district, all districts are required to present the state through our ISD, which is Wayne Risa. We are required to present a continuity of learning plan. And so, as you mentioned, Mr. Martell, we are working collaboratively, and it's going to take a couple weeks to make sure that everyone is secure with the plan, to make sure that everyone is on board with the plan, and to practice increasing our collaboration is one of the things that I think we're going to benefit from greatly with this process. And so with that, I've been on several meetings with Wayne Risa. We've begun to meet within the district to discuss what that's going to look like. And so we definitely want to have a solid and agreed upon plan together first before we present it to the public. A couple additional things. When we return, so officially, and some of the lag in quote unquote service is the fact that we are officially on spring break this week. So spring break began today, while different people understanding that we need to get things done are being supportive and doing some work during this time. It is officially spring break. And so when we come back, the goal is going to be that we are able to provide additional support with food service. Food service is one of the items that we must continue in order to receive our full funding. So we will be starting food service back up again, and we would like to increase it, preferably including transportation to the degree possible, so that we can reach out to more of our families. And as a last added benefit and a pleasant surprise is that Forgotten Harvest is going to come to Romulus High School to distribute even more food to families. And that will be after our food distribution, because our food distribution is supposed to only be for students, for people who have students, where the Forgotten Harvest food distribution is for anyone in the area. And so they are working on getting their paperwork together And so once that has been done, they will once a week be able to, it will be in the high school parking lot, and people will be able to drive through, pick up, and continue through the parking lot. So that, like I said, that's an added benefit for our area families.
Thank you very much, Ms. Crockett. Moving forward, the next item of business,
Question.
please.
Ms. Crockett, going forward, and I know we haven't made any decisions yet, but just given like the number of staff we're working with and trying to reduce the amount of contact, have there been discussions regarding maybe going to food for a week or for multiple days as opposed to everyday delivery?
We are discussing all options. The reason why it was done that way initially was because of the freshness factor of the food. Mm-hmm. Food service was concerned that the more food, couple issues, the more food that they put out less often, there were concerns about storage, about food storage and how people would store that. There were concerns about the amount of storage that we had within our facilities. When we first started up, we were trying to put food in bins. And for example, I think it was at Hale Creek or Wick, I can't remember, one of the two, when they went to put the bins into the coolers, they wouldn't fit.
Okay.
And so they had to pull everything back out of the bins and then put it back. So storage in our facilities also became an issue. And then, like I said, then the freshness factor, when you give food that has to last for 3 or 4 days, but it tends to be less fresh. By the time we were ending our food service last week, they were actually able to give some hot meals, mm-hmm. which the public really appreciated. And so point is, all of these things will have to be reviewed and determined.
Thank you.
Is there any further questions for Ms. Crockett regarding this?
I have one more question.
Please.
Ms. Crockett, did you have the meeting with the special ed directors already also? And have we discussed, or are we going to be discussing how we'll be servicing the students with special needs?
Absolutely, yes. So I had a meeting. I had my first special ed director meeting on Friday, and they began giving some guidance on expectations for IEPs. They would like for us to continue servicing IEPs, and obviously things are going to be done in a different manner. The guidance so far appears that we are going to need to create even more individualized plans for students, because now they're going to be learning differently. And so that guidance, we're still waiting for the final word from MDE, but based on what it looks like, and actually I'm putting an email together right now to start having discussions with our special education teachers, thankfully with the support of Wayne Risa, around how do we get this done and how do we best serve our students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any additional for Ms. Crockett?
To add to that, I know that we typically, when we're talking about special services and IEPs, we are talking about a narrow group of our students. But I would like us, as we go forward and plan this, to be mindful that we are going to have now an increased number of students who maybe don't have existing IEPs, but are going to be in need of special services of some sort because of this pandemic and what they're enduring. And because we are a district where so many of our students already come to us with underlying traumas and poverty and various hardships. And now they are going through this pandemic already with those hardships on them. So if we can talk, and I understand that there's special ed money and there's things we cannot do, but the need remains unchanged in spite of what we can't do. So I would encourage us all to be collaborating with our teachers, with our administrators, with, the support staff, to think, how do we do what needs to be done? And if that's reaching out, and maybe this is a great opportunity for us to develop a network of community stakeholders, whether it's with the Ministerial Alliance or retired teachers, or just people who say, hey, I'd be willing to work one-on-one and tutor a student who's struggling in this subject, math or writing. And it also gets another adult actively involved in a student's life, which is good for our student and it's good for our community. And we have a wonderful opportunity to do something that we've really never explored before, that could be a real point of unity for our community.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Ms. Crockett. Is there any additional discussion regarding this update? And before we move forward,
I'm sorry, I was muted. I did have a question. Could you talk about the town hall meeting?
So we would like to have a town hall meeting, but again, that can't be until we have developed this plan. And so one of the things that we understand is that, sometimes we have an educator perspective and we don't understand sometimes what the parents don't understand or what the parents still need, even though we think we're being clear. So we want to provide the opportunity for our community, for our parents, for our guardians, whoever it is who's working with our kids, to ask us questions and to provide us clarity on anything that we may have missed or things that we may not have considered.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. President, I have a question.
please.
I know that that a lot of, we've heard over the news and different things that there have been donations of materials or laptops or Chromebooks and things of that nature. And I know in the past we had discussed setting up the ability to be able to receive those type of donations, and so that the individual or the organization or nonprofit that's actually putting that into place would be able to gain whatever they need to gain. And the question is, are we yet set up for that? So if we were to have a large corporation that wanted to donate additional laptops to maybe help our students with the learning during the pandemic, would we be set up to receive those type of things?
Ms.
I can
Riddle,
speak
to that.
I can speak to that. So we are a nonprofit as a school district, so we've always been set up to receive donations. And just in order for someone to use that as a tax deduction, all they need is a letter from us with our federal ID number on it.
Okay. Thank you.
That is great news. Yeah, so hopefully we can, work to, or even contact some of our partnerships and see how we can implement that into our education plan. Are there any additional questions, concerns, comments, discussion before we move forward from the COVID update? Okay, very good. So moving forward, the next is a FYI. Ms. Crockett, please, for the labor negotiations bid.
Okay, that can you hear me?
Yes.
I keep getting a lag. Okay, that has been posted. As a matter of fact, we did receive a response, but again, because I guess maybe Wayne Risa to some degree is on break as well. I'm trying to get to that response because it's within the system. So that has been posted, and so far we have one response. that I know of, and so I'm just waiting for that to come through fully.
And if you can update us on what day it was posted, what day it will be posted till, etc.
It was posted on the day requested. So let me run back and it was posted on March 30th. So it was posted on March 30th as stated. And would you like for me to find it and talk about the other dates? Is that what you're asking?
No, I mean, I think you can follow up on it at a later time if you had it right there, that would be great. But recollection, I believe it was something like the 15th or the 14th or 15th.
Before we were requesting that it be completed.
And then they were going to come before the board and do presentations.
I believe it was the 20th. Yes, correct.
Okay. So we look forward to that. So we're going to move forward. Report of the board president. In light of a lot of the, I feel like I'm echoing. Am I echoing?
You are echoing, yeah.
Okay. So I know that previously we had a discussion about the RFP for our legal counsel. It was previously brought back up, kind of postponed because of some of the things going on. We kind of had, we're overwhelmed with a lot of decisions for a moment. But in light of a lot of recent things, I was going to bring it back before the board and see if there's a consensus on moving forward at this point with the RFP that Ms. Crockett did draft. How's the board feel about that at this point? Is there anybody opposed to moving forward with the RFP for the legal?
This is Wester. Is this a good time to really go ahead with that, with everything, all the other pots we got on the stove?
And that was my question for you. I know there was a lot of, I don't want to use the word issues, but there was
right. I mean,
some
concern
with our present legal's ability to handle all of our present issues. And so that was a question that the board needs to decide. Are we fine moving forward? We're with her till what, June 30th, or do you want to wait till after we get some of this other stuff behind us and then move forward with that?
Question, Mr. President.
Please.
So I'm uncertain. One, we have Troon, correct? So
that is correct.
Maybe reach out to them and see, we can kind of chunk up what our most pressing legal needs are and see what they could cover. And if what we're comfortable with them covering, that's one option since we're already with them.
Sure.
Another option, and I don't know if Ms. Rudolph is still with us and can speak to it, as far as when RISA puts out RFPs for legal, what are we able to take advantage of those, or do we need to do our own separately?
We do not need to do our own separately as long as there's a governmental entity who has followed the legal bid process and they are willing to share that with us. We can take advantage of it. So we do it all the time with office supplies, with almost everything that we do.
When you're talking about something as specific as a legal counsel that we work with regularly, or even I would prefer if they came before the board and did a board presentation, similar as the labor relations, to be quite honest with you. Because our needs are much more, they differ greatly than from RISA's. But my only question is, would you like Ms. Crockett to put out the RFP now or wait till a later date?
There's so much going on. I think we should wait.
I'm fine with that.
I think it's because there's so much going on that
it's unpredictable now too, on even with all these moving pieces with this pandemic.
Right.
I just kind of feel like we just need to stick with who we have, and if we feel like it's assistance that is needed, then like Debbie recommended that we maybe pull in our other firm to assist as well, to have maybe a different perspective. I just kind of feel like, we'd be cutting our nose off to spite our face.
I agree with Ms.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with
Okay.
comfortable with reaching out to our other firm.
Okay. So at this point, we'll set it aside, and so we're fine with that. Okay. So communications from the public. Has anybody received any communications from the public? Mr. Cooper, anything on any of the live streams? I mean, is discussed by Ms. Rocket. At this point, they are working collaboratively, with our various stakeholders, including the teachers union, to develop a alternative education plan. Ms. Rocket, for the individual that's asking the question, do you want to expand on that again for them, just for the record?
Sure.
Briefly.
Sure. So with that, again, face-to-face learning has been suspended. And so we are working on a specific plan for our specific district and our students and community to best continue facilitating learning. And so we are developing what exactly that looks like. While online is a part of it, it can't be all of it. So we are working through what will it look like so that we can make sure that we're reaching as many of all of our students as possible.
And are we able to share our deadline date that this has to be implemented, etc.?
Well, according to the state plan, it must be implemented by April 28th. We don't know that we should or can wait that late. And we say that because we have to consider how many days we're at now. It could be the case that if we wait until the 28th, then we will miss our end of school deadline, our end of school deadline, which is June 11th. So we are making sure right now that we will start our plan such that we don't change our calendar, if that makes any sense.
Oh, perfect sense. Thank you. Are there any additional, Mr. Cooper? Are there any other board members that have received any? Please.
I can address that. So overall, the intent of the governor when she closed the schools back in early March was that we would continue paying people who are normally working. That is the rule, but there are some exceptions. So in some cases, people have chosen for their personal reasons and personal safety not to work, and those people then took a layoff from their third-party company. So with our employees, there is no question. With contractors, long-term subs, in general, there is no question, but there are some exceptions.
Thank you, Ms. Rudolph. Are there any additional?
I have a question on that. Ms. Rudolph, when maybe for our next meeting, because that is a question that I had also. It's hard to understand who we are continuing to pay and who is not getting paid. So if we could just have a breakdown of that, not like real complicated, but we do have a lot of contract employees, whether they're in administrative positions or then we have our vendors. But if we could just get a better understanding, and then if if all of our transportation department is not working and they've taken layoffs, or food service has taken layoffs, any kind of budget implications, if there's any savings since we're not paying for labor, if we could just see that. And then also any other contract employees, and maybe Ms. Crockett, if you could help with this, please. Any contract employees who we are continuing to pay, if we can just get an update on exactly what services they are providing, what we're paying for.
Yes.
You may necessarily be paying for a service.
Yeah. That's
So we could just be paying.
Could just be paying. For example, long-term subs are not providing any services for us, but we are paying them.
Okay.
And
What about our vendors who provide special ed services to our students? Are we continuing to pay them?
In general, I'm going to say yes, but do I even know who all those people are? No, I do not.
Okay.
That's something that we are working on as we try to work through the invoices that continue to come to central office.
Okay. Would it be, and I'm asking because I don't know. So this would be a question for Ms. Crockett and for Ms. Rudolph. Would it be acceptable to the best of our ability to identify those vendors and one, see if maybe there's a way that they can provide their service remotely to our students who receive those special services? Because I keep coming back to this, like our most vulnerable at-risk group is in a lot of ways hurting the most. And I'm trying to hedge in any way against the inequity in our delivery of education. So if we can still utilize our special service vendors in any capacity, can we do that? And the other thing is I don't want to lose any employees because they're forced to go look for other employment during this time. And then when we do come back to school, we have all these holes because people, for economic reasons, were forced to find other jobs, because that will hurt our students also. So to whatever extent we are able, I would ask that we please keep all of the people we've been paying employed and utilize them to benefit our students in some way.
If I can say something about the special ed piece, again, with now needing to develop additional plans on top of the plans that our students already have, we are going to need our special education staff and support in a great way. In addition to that, when we talk about long-term subs or building subs, for example, there are needs, especially just with reaching out to students. Mm-hmm. This is a different type of task that our teachers never knew that they would be up against. Mm-hmm. So with that, we have to use everyone we possibly can to support one another. So everyone will have something to do. That is for sure.
Thank you all. Is there any additional commentary as it relates to that? Are there any additional public comments from any of the other board members that they received anything via live stream? Mr. Cooper, anybody? Was it mental support?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we please provide the information for our counselors plus any of the any other additional that we can for this individual?
Mr. Cooper, I'm not sure if you can put that that flyer up on the screen. I'm not sure what capabilities you have there, but our middle school and high school counselors have gotten together and created a hotline that is on our website, www.romulus.net. That is on our website, and it's a call-in number. And if they're unable to reach someone, they can leave a message, and then the counselors pick up and give a call back. We also still have the Teen Health Center who is providing services. And we were having a discussion this morning about elementary age students. They are taking calls for elementary age students, but they're referring it to a different service. So I'm finding out what that service is. So the answer in a nutshell is yes, we are providing mental health services, and we will add on additional services as they become available.
Is it possible we could maybe reach out to Starfish or Guidance Center or maybe some of the local universities, Department of Social Work, and see if they would be willing to provide, because I want our students to have supports, but I want to make sure that they have like the properly trained credentialed supports.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Is there any additional?
No, this is a lot.
Okay, at this point, we're gonna move forward then. Communications and expressions from the board, if there are any. We'll go in order. Go ahead, Ms. Piles.
Okay, so a few things, and I know like I sound redundant when I keep talking about trauma and mental wellness and social emotional well-being, and that's okay. I'm not uncomfortable with being redundant because it is that important. And I firmly believe that as we try and deliberate and develop what our online learning looks like, if we miss that crucial fundamental component, anything we do is going to have, at best, a diminished effect. At worst, we will add layers of trauma onto students who don't have supports in their home academically or just basic needs. We have to understand that we're going to have students, we're going to be educating students who are responsible for siblings, who are responsible for doing cleaning and cooking and all of this. So I just want to make sure that we are, whatever we develop, we are wrapping that with such intense mental wellness supports like we have never even thought of yet, but they're much needed now. So on that, I do want to say that RISA, when RISA offered the documentary screening, Resilience, the Body of Stress and the Science of Hope, Dr. Bloodsaw had reached out to her staff at Hale Creek, and there were nearly 20 staff members from Hale Creek who showed up for that documentary. In addition to that, there were a lot from Barth and Wick and Rommel, and all of our schools were represented, and administrators were there. So it encouraged my heart to see our administrators recognizing the need and having that passion on their hearts. And right after that screening on March 3rd or 4th, I believe, is when the governor closed the schools. And Star Commonwealth, which is an extremely reputable organization that does trauma training and certification, they offered the trauma-informed resilient schools free of charge, and which is a wonderful, wonderful course to take. They were offering it free of charge, and it encouraged my heart to see so many RCS stakeholders, administrators, teachers, support staff, community members sign up for this course. And one of our teachers then formed a Facebook group for people who are interested in learning about trauma-informed education and in order to better serve our students. Like not just learn about it and say, oh, here's something that I did or a certification. Learn it to better serve our students and then form this group so all of us can collaborate. And as we're learning things, discuss what it means to us and how it can be best applied to our students. And that's not something that people had to do. That's something they wanted to do. So I'm happy to see that. And I want to make sure that I highlight that now. So anybody who wants to jump in, please jump in. And those who are there, thank you. And the other thing is tonight, there is a PBS documentary and it is at 10 o'clock. And no, I'm not I'm not getting any kind of commission for pushing these things. It's just, it's important. There is a documentary on PBS tonight. It talks about trauma in early childhood and why some people are affected by it way into adulthood, and why other people are seemingly resilient. And the difference that we can make as people who have a passion for children and educating the whole child, what we can do to increase the number in the group that ends up being resilient and successful in spite of. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Piles. Next, Ms. Wester.
I just want to thank everybody for all the hard work they're doing. Ms. Crockett, my hat goes off to you. Everything you've been doing. I was under the weather last week, but feeling much better. But just want to thank everyone for all they're doing, and keep up. Stay safe with your families.
Thank you. Ms. Funderburg.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Angela if we could get like an update on our school year budget for 2019-2020 school year. But also, too, I wanted to ask, have there been any beginning discussions about school funding? Because, you know, a lot of our funding comes from sales tax and all that kind of stuff. And so if a lot of businesses aren't open, you know, has there been any rumblings on how this might impact school funding?
So first on the budget, that's number one on my list. As some of you know, I've been kind of under the weather, but that's number one on my list to update for this school year. This school year will not be impacted. They are running ahead of schedule in terms of revenues for this year, so we'll be fine. They're not talking anything about prorating anything. Come July 1, a lot of the school aid fund does come from different types of sales taxes. So to the extent that people are out of work and they are not buying the way that they were 2 months ago, and to the extent that people are out of work and they're not paying their mortgages, so they're not paying their taxes, they're not paying hold harmless, 18 meals, they're not paying, or businesses are not paying 18 meals, and they're not paying our sinking fund and our the Wayne Risa special millage.
Right.
So the enhancement. Next year may very well be impacted.
Okay.
This school year we are fine, but next year may very well be impacted. Our best case scenario is that they keep funding exactly the same. We probably will not get an increase. We may be facing a decrease. It depends on how much has to be borne by the state versus what they may be able to get in aid from the federal government.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Terrell.
Hi, I have nothing. Just everyone stay safe. Oh, also remember, as I've said before, remember to do the 2020 census, which can be completed online, because that has a lot to do with how money is sent. And they've been advertising on television that it is online. So it's this 2020 census. So everyone, please, it is extremely important that that's completed by every household.
Yes.
And other than that, just want everyone to remain safe. Keep in mind social distancing. And I'd just like to thank everyone for coming together and working hard to make things happen for our district.
Thank you so much. Ms. Beard.
I don't have anything new. I'm kind of on the same back with everybody else. I want to thank Ms. Crockett and our staff that's been working very diligently to hold us together and get things out and done for our students. And as we go forward, I'm sure we'll be communicating those out to the public so everybody will be on the same page. I'd like everybody to also stay safe, stay healthy, and a great big huge thank you, because I know a lot of our parents are first responders and medical staff, and I would like to thank them every day for what they're doing.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Ms. Kennard.
No, I don't have a lot. I'm kind of short-winded, but I would like to thank everyone who reached out to me while I was under the weather, and I'm recovering and I'm getting better and stronger. One of the things that did come to my mind was it's great and wonderful talking about the services that we're offering all our students, every student. And so my question was for those who don't have access to wireless connection and the computers, and how we as a district will be able to touch bases with them with the information that's needed for them. I don't know if Miss Crockett or Miss Rudolph is aware that there is a program where Comcast and AT&T have for school districts in terms of getting those types of connections done. Someone approached me, I think it was last year, but we didn't really follow through. I think I need to go back through my notes and bring that information to them so that we can reach all our students. So that's something I'll do my due diligence on, so that we could have that information to see if we could tap into it. Also, to the entire Romulus School District, I ask that you be safe. Remember the practices and safe instance so that we can all be healthy and get through all of this together.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kennard. And I just, again, want to let everybody know that I'm thankful for this board collectively, for our district collectively, teachers, our community, first responders, etc. Our city offices. It's a pleasure to see everybody come together to work for a common goal, and I'm just thankful. At this point in time, I'm going to. Is there a
Mr.
motion?
President?
Yes, please.
There is one more comment on YouTube, and
please.
it's important, so I'd like to bring it. I'd like us to all be aware and accountable for this information. There is a comment for us to check with Solutions Network. They will have a grant in place to provide teleconference, et cetera, to support students dealing with the pandemic and trauma, and also COVID-19 Student Support Recovery Grant.
Excellent. Thank
So I
you
would
very
like
much.
that to be a matter of, record in our minutes, that is something that we need to check into and utilize.
Can you say that again, please?
Can you repeat that again?
Yes, it is Solutions Network. They'll have a grant in place to provide teleconference, et cetera, to support students dealing with the pandemic and trauma.
Okay.
COVID-19 Student Support Recovery Grant. And thank you, Ms. German, for making us aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if there's nothing else, at this point in time, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Wester makes a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Wait, before we move, considering that things are changing on a day-to-day basis, we are going to continue to meet once a week unless something changes, just to keep the community updated and take care of any decisions that need to be taken care of. So, is there a motion for adjournment?
Wester.
Piles.
Piles. Roll call, please.
Piles.
Yes.
Thunderbird.
Yes.
Beard.
Yes.
Terrell.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Wester, yes. Martell.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. 7:23. You guys stay safe, and I will see you a week from today.
Thank you. Stay safe.
All right,
God
everybody.
bless.
Have a good evening.
Take care.